The scale of the government's initiative will match the challenges of our time.
Okay, hold up. I'm not ready for this. Buckingham Palace just witnessed the most shocking moment in modern royal history. Picture this: King Charles, alone in the blue drawing room, that place dripping with centuries of tradition, looks straight ahead and says the words nobody ever expected to hear. I can no longer serve as your king. Yes, that happened. His voice? It cracked. Not out of weakness, but because this wasn't some PR crisis or scandal. This was real, human, raw, a secret battle that not even the press could sniff out. Behind all the pageantry, Charles was fighting a brutal illness quietly, and it was worse than anyone guessed. William and Catherine, absolutely frozen. They couldn't move, couldn't speak, because in that moment, the crown didn't just wobble, it tilted. Everything changed. The real reason? A health crisis that shook the monarchy to its very core. Behind the scenes, while everyone thought the king was just tired or needing rest, the truth was so much more devastating. This wasn't just fatigue or missed speeches. It started small, less energy, leaving early, a tremor here and there, but then the hospital visits began. Very private, very discreet. What they discovered? Cancer. And not the slow kind, the kind that robs you of time faster than anyone is ready for. Then came the moment that broke it all. At Sandringham, during what should have been just another briefing, Charles collapsed. Right there, into the armchair. The only person there, Prince William, and it shattered him. That night, the diagnosis took a darker turn. The doctors didn't sugarcoat it. Months, they said. Not years, months. And not just as a king, as a person. The very next morning, William was called into his father's private room. No staff, no guards, just them. And Charles, looking at a photo of his grandkids, whispered, "I want to see them grow while I still can." That was it. That's why he made the decision. Not because he gave up, but because he wanted to hold on to what truly mattered: my mom. Family, legacy, time, and let's not forget Catherine. She had just come through hell herself. Her own cancer journey had been brutal. Charles watched her fight, and he admired her strength, but he also knew the kingdom couldn't handle two monarchs in the same war. Quietly, a senior aide revealed the truth. The king realized he couldn't lead and battle cancer. Not both. Not anymore. So the choice was made, not from weakness, from love. But of course, it wasn't that simple. William didn't just say, okay. Oh no. There was a confrontation, not in some grand room, but at Highgrove, in Charles's private study. That room had seen everything, but nothing like this. William walked in, tense, angry. "You can't just abandon the crown," he said. "Not like this." Charles didn't turn. He just looked out at the garden he loved. And when he finally faced William, he wasn't the king anymore. He was a tired, frail father, trembling, crying. "I'm not abandoning anything," he said. "I'm choosing the time I have left." That broke William. The monarch inside him was screaming, but the son, oh, the son, remembered losing his mom. He remembered time stolen by grief. He knew this wasn't about duty anymore. It was about love. And then Catherine entered, like she always does, quietly, calmly. She didn't pick a side. She just held William's hand, grounded him. And in that silence, everything shifted. William's eyes welled up. "All right," he said, "I'll do it, but not for the crown, for you." And that was it, the promise, the moment a prince accepted his destiny. Then came the speech. Oh my God, the abdication speech. If you thought the palace had seen drama before, this was next level. Same blue drawing room, same chandeliers, but now that room was drowning in emotion. A few loyal staff stood in silence, barely breathing. The cameras rolled, curtains drawn, and there he was, Charles, standing beneath the portrait of his mother, trembling hands, parchment in front of him. And then he said it. "I have carried the mantle of duty, service, and tradition for more than a lifetime, but the time has come." He paused, deep breath, and dropped the bomb. "I'm abdicating the throne." Silence. People behind the camera started crying. Grown men, palace staff who'd served 3 monarchs. Charles kept going, voice shaking. "I hereby name Prince William and his wife Catherine as my successors, effective immediately." That wasn't just a handover. That was a mic drop on royal tradition. No slow fade out, no tradition, just done. And then he said the line that absolutely destroyed people. "My time, as I now understand it, is no longer measured in years, but in moments." That wasn't a king talking. That was a father running out of time. The camera cut. But nobody moved. It wasn't just the end of a reign, it was the end of a chapter, a goodbye we didn't see coming. And as the corridors whispered, William and Catherine sat alone in a small sitting room off the King's Gallery. No aides, no cameras, just silence. It was Catherine who finally whispered, "Are we ready for this? The children, they're so young." William didn't answer. He stared into the fireplace, the sound of his father's voice still ringing in his ears. This wasn't just about duty. This was about grieving the timeline they thought they had. Later that night, they sat with their children. No announcements, no royal script, just parents and their kids, George, Charlotte, and Louis, all in front of them, wide-eyed. William began, "Grandpa is stepping down, and now Mommy and I will be taking on more, a lot more." George nodded, that old soul in a young body. "I understand, Papa. I'll help." And you could see the weight settle on him, even at 12. Charlotte? She didn't say much. Her lower lip just quivered, and then the tears came. No tantrum, just sadness, because even she knew. No meetings, just long hugs, bedtime stories, and a quiet knowing everything had changed. But what the world didn't know, this wasn't a snap decision. This wasn't just one man stepping down. Oh no, this had been building behind closed palace doors for months. Quiet panic, whispers in the halls, missed events, King Charles showing up looking tired, too tired. And those close to him, they knew. They saw the signs. The fragility, the weight loss, the shaken hands, the glazed over eyes during briefings. To the public, he was still the calm, composed monarch. But behind palace walls, they were already asking the question no one dared say aloud. Can he still do this? And that answer, it came swiftly. The final doctor's warning during a late-night consultation at Windsor. The words were sharp. "Continuing this role is accelerating your disease. It's killing you." And that was it, the line. The moment everything shifted. That night, Charles met with William and Catherine. No aides, no advisors, just family. William went first, his voice steady but emotional. "We need you alive more than we need you on the throne. We need you to be with us as Madam. We meet you in the way you are." Catherine, holding back tears, added one line that reportedly broke the silence. "This isn't failure, it's wisdom." And for the first time in weeks, Charles didn't argue. He just nodded. He was letting go. Not in shame, but in grace. And when the news broke, Britain collectively gasped. Headlines screamed the unimaginable. "I can no longer serve as your king." Outside Buckingham Palace, people gathered in crowds, tourists, locals, monarchists, even skeptics. They all came. They stood there with newspapers in hand, eyes wet with tears, trying to absorb the shock. Some brought flowers. Others just stood still. On social media, it was mayhem. 2 hashtags exploded: Save the King and William and Catherine. One filled with heartbreak, the other with hope. And the memes, they flooded in. Charles as a young prince, next to his tired, fragile image now. William at his mother's funeral, and now stepping into the role of king. It was emotional, layered, real, and the world responded. The US president called personally. Commonwealth leaders issued joint statements praising Charles and pledging support to William and Catherine and challenging the government they thought was to stop to keep him from getting into office. One of my idols as a teenager, and even European royals, yes, the ones who normally stay quiet, spoke out, calling the abdication an act of profound courage. This wasn't the monarchy falling, it was evolving. And inside Kensington Palace, life was changing fast. Let's talk about the children, because no one escaped the shift. Overnight, George, Charlotte, and Louis weren't just royal children. They were now living inside a training ground for the future of the monarchy. George, just 12, found his world flipped. Math and science lessons replaced with constitutional briefings and etiquette classes. One insider revealed he asked his tutor, "Will I ever be able to say no when someone bows to me?" That hit hard, because this isn't normal childhood stuff. This is a boy preparing to be king. Charlotte, always the calm one, became the emotional anchor. When Louis cried, she comforted him. When George got overwhelmed, she steadied him. She wasn't given a title, but she didn't need one. She became the silent pillar in their little world. And little Louis, just 7, still adjusting, still asking why his afternoons of fun were suddenly replaced with practiced curtsies and stiff introductions. During one lesson, he burst into tears and asked, "Can I still be little?" Catherine knelt down, held him close, whispered, "Always." And Catherine, this woman, wow, she transformed not just into a queen in waiting, but into the glue holding this family and this future together. Her days were packed, from morning briefings to royal tutors to meetings with constitutional advisors. But she never let it swallow her role as a mother. She still read bedtime stories, still helped with homework, still made breakfast in the kitchen when she could. One palace aide put it best: she wears the crown but never let it replace her instinct. They watched their family make the hardest decision of all, and what they inherited wasn't a title. It was a lesson: resilience. Not the loud kind, but the quiet strength that comes from watching your parents hold each other up through chaos, from seeing your grandfather choose laughter over legacy, from knowing you can cry and still be strong. And the country? Something shifted there too. The monarchy, once marble and mystique, suddenly felt close, real, tangible. Not because it became casual, but because it became human. Gone were the days of distant rulers. Now the people saw a king and queen who bled, who wept, who tucked their children into bed after long days of duty. They weren't perfect, they were present. And maybe, just maybe, that's what the monarchy needed all along. 6 months later, Britain feels different. The people aren't dazzled by ceremony, but grounded in something deeper: trust. Because when the crown was too heavy, this family didn't fake it. They shared it. They held it together, even when it trembled in their hands. And King Charles? He still walks through the gardens of Balmoral, health improving, face softer, laugh lines returning. He doesn't regret stepping down. He knows what he bought with that choice: time. Time with his grandchildren, time with art, time with peace. And in that decision, that quiet, monumental sacrifice, he didn't lose the crown, he passed it. Gently, intentionally. And the future, it's not carved in stone anymore. It's being written day by day in the actions of a new generation of royals who know the cost of silence, the weight of duty, and the beauty of choosing heart over heritage. Because when the world expected the monarchy to crack, it didn't. It transformed. And that might just be the most royal thing of all.